Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Doing this recording a little bit later than I care to admit, but we've had a busy day at work in addition to a lot of stuff going on with the USFL, some XFL insight, all that goofy stuff. So we're doing our weekly quarterback rankings. Right now, we saw 13 of the 24 XFL quarterbacks take snaps, receive playing time, with about 9 of them actually seeing significant passing attempts. So we'll kick it right off going into the honorable mention. So I got Stephen Montez, De'Ara King, and Cole McDonald. Uh, I'm going to be doing a top 9 this week, and all three of them played a little bit. Montez threw a couple passes for about 7 yards. De'Ara King was mostly used on 2-point conversions, along with Cole McDonald, who didn't have any pass attempts. King and McDonald both had rushing touchdowns. They were mostly utilized in that part of the game. For Montez, obviously, Ben DiNucci got the majority of the snaps, with King kind of being rotated in, but mostly used for a replacement for Teamu, who didn't play that well. McDonald, after Brandon Silver's performance, a very serviceable one, slightly above average, looks to be on the bench for another week. However, his rushing ability is what gave him, as he was the quarterback on all 2-point conversions, extra point conversions, and then towards the end of the game, they let them score a touchdown because they were up by so much. So those are my honorable mentions. Originally, Montez was ranked at 11, King ranked at 15, McDonald ranked at 10. I don't have them ranked essentially because right now there's not enough sample size moving forward. And at the end, if they continue to throw, if they get to throw passes, I'm going to expand the rankings. But right now, there's not much. At the end of the year, I'll be doing a complete ranking of everyone that's thrown a pass or a rushing attempt. So moving into number 9, he originally was our number 1. It's Jordan Teamu. Didn't really do much for me. Was 8 of 9, 86 yards, an interception, five rushing attempts for 9 yards. Uh, the young man kind of looked overwhelmed at times. Didn't really get much help from his offensive line. Had one rushing touchdown. Looked like he was on the run a little bit. A couple of that could have been nerves. Ron Zook's defense is nothing to joke around with. Ron Zook is a very good defensive coordinator, and maybe moving forward they kind of go to a 2 quarterback system. Maybe throw Eric Dungy in there. I don't know. The Teamu looked off. That was one of the more weaker attempts I've seen. The turnover was ugly, and it really just did not, you know, in my opinion, bring any confidence to the DC defenders moving forward. They did win. Ben DiNucci did not play that well, and that kind of prompted their victory more than Teamu's play. Uh, Obviously, both these quarterbacks are rushing quarterbacks, including Dungy, who was inactive. So we might see a more ground centered game. Abram Smith did some nice things, but in the end, Teamu definitely did not win this due to his arm. Coming in at number 8, we got Quinn Dormandy. As you can see on the decal, he came in after Paxton Lynch. It looks like Terrell Buckley will be doing kind of this multiple quarterback situation. I'm not a big fan of this. While Lynch didn't play great, I don't think he deserved an early benching because they were still in the game. Uh, Buckley did mention about starting Francois next week, who's been in camp with the team the whole time, been to all of Jordan Palmer's workouts. I don't see this working out well. The Guardians were obviously the more more or less universally accepted underdog throughout the season. Dormandy did have a couple nice passes, especially one to Andrew Jamil, who awesome job getting his first touchdown in the outdoors. He played a little bit in the spring. I think he only had one touchdown in the spring. First touchdown in the XFL. We all know Jamil and the great stuff he did in the fan controlled league, but Dormandy did throw 2 interceptions, and then I think I saw one definitely get dropped, and then a couple bad overthrows, and then I think he had one that was almost intercepted as well. So he could have thrown 4 interceptions in a short time. The Guardians' offensive line did not do any favors for either one of these quarterbacks. One of these players, Trent Harris, I believe, had 4 sacks, and there were a couple others. But long story short, whoever's taking snaps for the Guardians right now until they get it figured out doesn't look like they'll be having much fun. So maybe they do go with Francois. Um, to kind of just change it up a bit, maybe run some more read option. But I mean, you can't really knock either one of these quarterbacks. Moving forward on that, Dormandy was unranked. I didn't even think he'd play. I'm surprised he was a second string quarterback coming into week one. But I mean, depth charts haven't been released except for the Battlehawks since they play on Thursday. So we'll see moving forward on that. Now, Paxton Lynch, I'm a Paxton Lynch fanboy. I really liked what he did in the USFL. I think his stat line didn't actually do justice to how well he played. Like I said on this before, Paxton Lynch threw 4 interceptions. 2 of them were off tips, and then in that week one game against the Gamblers last year, he had 4 drop passes on his while he was in, or excuse me, a couple of drop passes while he was in. Now Lynch came in, instant connection with Cody Latimer, his teammate from his time with the Broncos. I was really disappointed. I kind of feel like he had a short leash that he should have played more, get more comfortable. Reminder, he hasn't been with the team, and it was a bit premature his benching. Now I don't know if that was a plan. Part of me feel like it was. However, Lynch was also like Dormady running for his life. That Guardians, like you're giving up 4 sacks to one player. I don't care. I don't care who your quarterback is. You're not going to be doing much. Overall, he had serviceable stats. He was 15 of 21, 136 yards passing, a touchdown, and a nasty pick that was, kind of, I don't want to say overthrown, but thrown inside when it should have been thrown outside. I think it's unfortunate he got benched. I think he's kind of fighting his reputation a little bit, but I mean, he's number 7. Originally, he was number 8. The less than inspired play from Teamu and Quinn Dormady playing worse than him is what keeps him at 7. As of right now, he's kind of that back end guy, but we'll see. He's got 9 more games to prove himself. Coming in at number 6 is Drew Plitt. He was originally ranked at number 12, as I thought, like everyone else, that Kyle Sloter would be the starter, who I ranked at number 2, which is not on our rankings going into right now. Plitt's a rookie, man. You saw that lack of experience. You saw him, not really feel that comfortable. He didn't have to do much. Luis Perez kind of won them the game. He had, 2 turnovers, a bad fumble, a bad interception. Was a little bit more mobile than we would think. However, they did win the game, and I think that's what kind of keeps Plitt safe. As long as they're winning, he'll continue to play. But you got Kyle Sloter on the bench. Sloter wasn't the craziest dynamic guy in the USFL, but he's had some great preseason games. Mr. Preseason has played well enough to kind of be lurking in the background, but we'll see. He did settle down that second half, was able to limit the turnovers and take advantage of Perez's turnovers. The Renegades were, and that's why they won. Overall, he was 19 of 25, 172 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, 5 rushing attempts for 16 rushing yards. Now, moving into 5, we got Jack Cohn, the captain of the San Antonio Brahmas. I had him at 11. I originally thought Reed Sinnett would be the starter, but obviously I was wrong. So Cohn, another true rookie, made his pro debut in week 1, and he did put a manageable and serviceable performance. However, he had a bad fumble, Travis Feeney, that kind of took them out of a scoring opportunity, and he had a bad interception. So those 2 turnovers is kind of what made or break the Brahmas from at least getting field goals, especially when Jaquez Patrick and Kevin Billage at points were just running through 4 yards at a pop against the St. Louis Battlehawks. Now, they ran 77 plays and had the ball for almost 40 minutes, and they only managed 15 points. Him and Plitt played similar games. Cohn gets a nod at 5 because of the touchdown. And I think moving forward, if they can just lean on that rushing game while Cohn gets a little bit more comfortable and allows for Billage and Patrick to continue to shoulder some of the load, that's going to tell us a lot. Because honestly, if he doesn't put it together, it does look like that they will be going the Reed Sinnett. Now, the Brahmas did have 2 injuries at the tackle. Kai Abashir, who's been with 3 XFL teams already, a USFL guy, I believe he's with the Breakers. He was thrust in there. He's been with the team very limited, was cut by the Battlehawks, and now he was playing right tackle for the Brahmas. And Travis Sweeney had his way with him before he was hurt. Now, Cone, with this offensive line a little bit beleaguered, the injury report for the Brahmas has not come out. However, they are getting Jordan McRae, who's been an all league center in whatever league, the AAF, the XFL, wasn't all league in the USFL, but pretty damn good coming from John Heimbach's offensive line with the Stallions. In addition to IFL, NAL, AFL, like he's won championships, been awarded multiple awards in the Arena League. So hopefully that kind of tightens things up for them. But like I said, I got Jack Cohn, went 25 36, 207 passing yards, one touchdown, one pick, 4 attempts for 10 rushing yards. Now, the only guy to actually stay consistent on this list was Ben DiNucci. I wanted to rank him higher. I wanted to, throw him up there a little bit at 3, but that end of the game fumble is what kind of ended it for me. Now, it's funny because 2 quarterbacks on this list both have game-sealing not interceptions, but turnovers that ultimately lost their game. Now, DiNucci came out hot, was lighting it up in June Jones's offense. A questionable play call is what kind of lost them the game, because I don't know why you're running read option with, the time ticking down and everything. A couple strikes to the end zone, maybe a QB sneak or something like that, but not the best play call that I saw from June Jones. Very surprising. So he did manage to for almost 300 yards, 282 yards on 54 attempts, 35 completions, a touchdown and an interception, 3 rushing attempts, for 3 yards. Now they did trickle in Steven Montez a little bit. Not really a fan. I think, unless you're running Montez on the read option, Montez actually took, I think he threw 2 passes. In my opinion, let's keep Ben in that groove. Let's see what he's got. He's a little bit of a gunslinger. I do think if he limits the turnovers, he had 2, especially with that game-ending fumble, and he fumbled earlier but recovered it. If we get more Ben DiNucci just kind of getting consistent another week in the offense, and that's the thing with all these quarterbacks is that we're only on week 6 of being with these teams, so we could see some major movement and major growth. And I think DiNucci kind of fits that mold because he does have a decent amount of experience with the Cowboys, and he could only get better. Coming in at 3, a little bit shocking, is Luis Perez, originally ranked number 6. Now, he could be a faller because I don't know how much he plays going into week 2. Luis Perez threw 5 touchdowns in week 1. Unfortunately, 2 were to the other team, is what lost them the game. Him and Jeff Badette got off real hot. They threw 2 touchdowns in the first half. It looked like the Vipers were cruising, giving Rod Woodson his first win, and Luis straight up crumbled. And I hate saying that because the Spring King deserves so much more. His 3 touchdowns, he's thrown over 25 touchdowns. He's thrown for almost 4,000 yards in these spring leagues. And unfortunately, it kind of all came crashing down through those 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns. However, because he did play such a clean game prior, and I do have a big love for that touchdown number, I give him the nod over DiNucci. Luis Perez played a pretty clean game outside about 2 or 3 throws. Problem with him is his arm strength. He's not strong enough to throw those out routes and kind of get the ball to the wide side of the field. He's a smart guy. He's smarter than this. I'm very disappointed in those 2 picks. However, due to these younger quarterbacks not really doing anything, you got to put Perez up in the top 3 just by kind of law of attrition. Coming in at number 2 is another Spring King. He looks like he's the heir to the title, is what I called him. Brandon Silvers. Originally, I had him at number 7. Very shocked he didn't play in the USFL last year. Played 1 game in FCF and got speared by Cecil Cherry, who headbutted him, which is on Cherry's highlight video, which that's not something you want to put on there, but that's a different conversation. Silvers and his buddy AJ Smith are going to continue to grow. Started off once again real hot, cooled off a bit, but they kind of were on cruise control, in which he threw for 272 yards on 42 attempts, 26 completions, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 2 rushing attempts, 0 rushing yards. I think he'll continue to grow. He's one of the more seasoned spring league guys in this. Definitely top 4 in experience. So we'll continue to see Silvers grow. I'm not really worried about these 2 picks. He's got also a dynamic rushing attack with Max Borgi, Garrett Owens. We saw him drop that pick, but I think he'll continue to grow. And as a blocker, he did a great job blocking for Cole McDonald on the 2-point conversion and his touchdown. And he does have Cole McDonald to kind of alleviate to add to that rushing attack as well. So while I think Silvers may also have a short leash, he puts together some great throws for week 1, and the guy has proven he can do it. He did it. He did it in the spring league. He did it with the XFL. He was okay with the Express, but you got to remember that was his rookie season. He came in as the 4th-string quarterback behind Mettenberger, Christian Hackenberg, and Johnny Manziel. So we'll continue to see good stuff from Brandon Silvers as we always do. Big fan, and the more he's working with AJ Smith, once they get that rushing attack a little bit more dynamic and incorporate some Cole McDonald in there, there's nothing you can do. And they wouldn't even see Nick Hawley or Garrett Owens outside of Garrett Owens' one drop, which would have been a touchdown, get much targets. So we'll continue to monitor that. But once again, none of these quarterbacks played crazy well. So there is a lot of like interpretation, but that's with all lists. I didn't think I'd put AJ McCarron at number 1. I thought he'd be in top 4, but to put him at number 1 is a good problem to have. What's more to say about what he did? Went 11 of 13 for over 100 yards in that fourth quarter, throwing those 2 touchdowns. Made a big 3-point conversion to Austin Prohl. Made the 4th and 15 to Austin Prohl. Made the game-winning touchdown on tight windows. There's a reason why this guy was an NFL draft pick, had success in the NFL, and won 2 national championships as a starter, 3 total, at Alabama. These Alabama quarterbacks are playing division or professional football before they leave for the NFL, and he proved it. The guy had poise. He was running around with his offensive line. You got to remember too, Mike Panasuk, their center, was a defensive lineman. And this team's only going to get better. Even Gerard Jones-Smith, who I'm high on, was with the Commanders, hasn't played much since about 2020. So you got some guys who have experience, but they're also learning and getting to get it together. We always talk about in alt football these alt leagues where a quarterback and offensive line player are the most characterized thing. So McCarron showing that veteran presence, that poise, that confidence. He did have some moments where he was essentially, I felt like he was overanalyzing the game and trying to tell these players what to do and everything instead of just kind of playing free. And when we saw him kind of open it up, he had that big throw to Aitman, to Brian Hill, to Hakeem Butler on the first touchdown, and to just show the moxie and poise on that 4th and 15 was electrifying for me. I was so impressed. I haven't been that excited for a football game in a while, and to see what he did in front of his family, in front of his kids who have been so vocal, and him being here was one of the better things I think I've seen this weekend. And I'm glad, honestly, St. Louis won because Coach Anthony Beck gets his first victory, and we only are 2 victories away from going 3-0 and returning to the Dome. So I wrote an article on XFL News Hub about it. Check it out. Been doing a lot of stuff. YouTube channel's been getting bigger. Thank you guys so much. If you can please, like and share and subscribe, I really appreciate it. But outside of that, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. And y'all have a great night. And leave a comment. Tell me what I'm doing right. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I'm having a good time doing this, and I want to get better at it. So thank you guys.